Hi guys, and welcome to this tutorial of the ezDeform plugin. The ezDeform plugin is a family of three plugins: the ezBend, ezNoise, and ezTwist, which allows you to deform, bend, and twist built-in Vizrt geometries in real time, giving the designer a lot of power to create really cool effects right within Vizrt without having to waste any time in other programs and then have to render the stuff and bring it in every time you want to make a change. Everything is created right within the artist, which is really cool. So before we jump into the tutorial, let's show you some of the effects that we want to create. So first of all, we'll show you how to create this really cool 3D spiral effect. As you can see in this scene, we have just a built-in sphere plugin using the ezDeform plugin on it. So this will be the first effect, and the second one I want to show you how we can create is this really cool sort of alien spike GUI sphere, which is really easy to create, and I'll show you in a couple of steps how we can recreate this. So that's what we're going to achieve by the end of this tutorial. So let's go ahead and jump in. Before we recreate the spiral effect, I just want to show you a few things about the ezDeform plugins. So let's go ahead and just go into our geometry plugins. And I'm just first going to start off by showing you an example using a cube. Let's add a material and change the color a bit here. And I'm just going to rotate this a bit so we can see what's happening, and I'll scale it up as well. Okay, so I just want to show you a few things about how the ezDeform works so that you get an idea and can fully understand and then use it within your scenes. So if we go ahead and turn on the wireframe over here, we can see that the tessellation of the cube is really low. We only have a few sections here of the cube, a few triangles. So when we add the bend plugin, and I'm just going to grow this on the y-axis, so we have this long rectangle. And if I now try and bend this cube, you see that it creates more of a triangle effect than a bend. And this is because our tessellation on the cube is very low. So we can go into the cube plugin, and I'll bring up the tessellation. You see, once I do that, you see what's happening to the in the preview window. We have more sections of the cube that we can actually bend. So then we can create this much smoother bend effect, and that applies for all of the ezDeform plugins. If you want smooth effects, then you have to go into the geometry plugin and bring up the tessellation. Okay, so that's the basic principle using the ezDeform plugins. So let's go ahead and remove this. I'll show you this again with the sphere plugin. So if I get the sphere here, and then we grab the ezNoise plugin. Okay, so here we can actually see the different sections of the cube. Let me scale this up again. And now if I play with the tessellation of the cube, you can really see how the plugin is affected by the tessellation. Okay, great. So now we understand the basic principles of using the ezDeform plugin. Let's go ahead and create a new scene, and we'll create this spiral effect. Okay, all I need to do is go into buildings, get my geometry plugin, and I will grab the sphere. And then let's scale this up a bit. And let's add a material. So as in the scene before, let's get this pinkish sort of color. Okay, we'll start with that. Now I'm going to go into the sphere plugin, and I'm going to set the tessellation to 360 so we get this smooth effect. and I'm going to set the rotation of the sphere plugin to 45 and the open angle to 270. Okay, so you think that the sphere has disappeared, but if we just rotate it here, we can actually see we have this piece of the sphere, which is going to allow us to create this spiral effect. So now I can go ahead and add the Easy Twist plugin, and watch what happens when I start to change the angle of the twist. Okay, so it's twisting. I need to bring this up quite a bit, and now you can see the beginning of this spiral effect. So I'm going to bring this right up to about 1600, and now we have this, if we go ahead and rotate this the geometry, you see we have this really cool spiral effect, and you can go ahead and freely play with the open angle to make these the stripes along the sphere larger or thinner, and you can also play with the rotation to rotate the effect. We can animate this to make a really cool spiral effect. So we can just bring this up just as it was in the previous example, and we can rotate it a bit. There we go. And that's how we created the spiral effect. So you can see that it's really easy to use, and it's a really cool effect, and it saves a lot of time, because if you had to create something like this in external applications and then render it and then bring it in, and every time you wanted to make a change, and you can animate all of these parameters within your scene in real time. Okay, so that was a really simple example using one of the ezDeform plugins on a geometry. In the next example, I'm going to show you how we can use multiple plugins on a single geometry. So let's go ahead and remove, we'll just hide this for now. And again, I'm going to just go into built-ins, geometry plugins. I'm going to grab another sphere plugin. And let's copy this texture, the material. Okay. So in Vizrt, we can only add one shader plugin, one plugin to a container at a time. So if I start off by adding the Easy Bend and then I try to add the Easy Noise, it's just going to replace the plugin that we have on there, which means that we can't use multiple plugins. So what we've done, if I just create a new group over here, and I put my new sphere as a child, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the add another plugin over here, another container. I'm going to grab the Easy Shader plugin over here. Okay, so now that I have the Easy Shader plugin, what I can actually do is from the drop-down list, we've updated the Easy Shader plugin to include the deformation ezDeform plugins as well. So you can see here we have the twist, bend, and noise. So for this example, I'm going to add the noise plugin, and I'm going to go ahead and add the twist plugin as well. Oh, sorry, I just want to click add. And now we have the Easy Shader plugin. You can see we have these two plugins underneath it, and that basically allows us to add multiple effects. Just the last thing I need to do is add the sphere as a child of the Easy Shader plugin. Okay, so let's go ahead and create this effect. I'm going to set the Easy Noise, so you see here we have the intensity, which is how much of the effect. So I'm just going to increase the tessellation of my sphere first. There we go. Okay, so let's go to Easy Noise, and we can set the intensity here to 200. Okay, and we're going to leave the scale at 100. Let's just go ahead and reset it to 100. Let's repeat it 300. Okay, so now we have this really creates this cool spike sort of effect. Let's go ahead and set that to 300. We're going to bring down the X intensity to 0, and the same for the Z intensity. So there we go. If I bring down, I just leave that at 100. And if I play with the intensity, you can start to see how we create this spiked effect from a sphere. Let's just bring that down. So there you go. You can just play with the intensity, and you can see how cool that is right there. Okay, so let's bring this intensity up to 200 again. And now I want to use the Easy Twist plugin as well to create a nice twist on this effect. So I'm just going to set the angle here to something like 195. Let's go ahead and set that over there. So there you see we have these this really nice alien sort of effect. And I can go ahead and rotate this container. And if we create an animation on this angle, let's go ahead and do that. So let's just reset that, add a keyframe. So let's do 195, add another keyframe, and we'll do, 1 second. And add a keyframe over there. And then we'll go ahead and do the same on the intensity. We'll animate that as well. So let's set this to 0. Create a keyframe, and then we can bring this up to about 200. Create another keyframe. And if we go ahead and play, we have this awesome effect. So you can see that using the ezDeform plugins, it's really easy, really fast to create cool effects. So the last thing I want to show is some texture blending working with the ezDeform plugins. So let's go ahead and grab a texture. And let's drop this on our, on the sphere. Okay, so you can see now that I have this texture. If I have a texture and a material on my geometry, so the texture basically cancels out the material. So what we need to go into, we have this property on the Easy Shader plugin when you're using multiple plugins. But if you're using just one standalone plugin, we have it on each individual plugin over there. So let's just go ahead and start playing with the with the texture blend. And then you can actually blend the different textures together to get really awesome effects. Let's scale this up so you can have a look at that. So you can blend materials and textures together as well. And the transparency lets you create really awesome glass effects. It actually makes the geometry transparent, and you just have the texture on your geometry. So now we have this really awesome glass kind of effect going on. Let's go ahead and change the background of our scene so you can see what's happening over here. Just bring this down. So we have this sort of melted glass effect now. That's using the transparent parameter of the plugins. So that wraps up this tutorial. There's some example scenes on our website that you can download and have a play and enjoy using the easy deformation within Vizrt.